Boys, Ceiling MMA here, and today I'm gonna be dropping my predictions for UFC 315. I'm a bit lightheaded right now. I've just had a blood test. Got blood taken out of me. Not feeling great, but whatever. Because I gotta do these predictions. Uh, this card isn't amazing, and the UFC needs to lock in. I was gonna make a rant about it, but enough people have already about Dana White's promoting Crawford versus Canelo instead of the UFC, and we're not getting any fights we want. But whatever. I'm kind of sad, last weekend my boy Cameron Smotherman lost, but won the third round as soon as he started pressuring more with the boxing, which he should have done in the first and second. But whatever, you know. What the first fight of the card? Brad Katona, Bekzat Almakhan. Now, Bekzat Almakhan, if I remember correctly, actually fought Umar Nurmagomedov and dropped him. As much as he did get dominated kind of for the rest of that fight, he gave Umar problems and he dropped him. And I think that's the type of fighter who could get ranked and who is going to beat Brad Katona. So I'm going to go Bekzat Almakhan, second round KO. Because Umar's right up there with the guys at the top. Daniel Santos, Jung Young Lee. Daniel Santos is a bantamweight and now he's just fighting at featherweight, which is a bit weird. And if you look at the frames, he is a lot shorter than Daniel Santos. Than Jung Young Lee. But I just don't think Jung Young Lee is very good. And I think Daniel Santos, although he does get hurt, he's mini Charles Oliveira, bro. And he's gonna if he loses, he should go back down to bantamweight, obviously. But I think he's gonna Charles Oliveira max his way to a split decision win here. I'm gonna say based off maybe the last 2 rounds. Okay. Marc-Andre Barriault, Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva has looked like really bad ever since the Pereira fight. Hesitant, just not as good as he once was. And Marc-Andre Barriault, I think he got knocked out his last fight, maybe, and he has not looked as good recently. But this is a home crowd for him, and I just think he's going to wear on Bruno Silva and get this done by late. Yeah, we'll say decision to Marc-Andre Barriault. Navajo Sterling, Ivan Erslan. I see this fight going 2 ways. Either Navajo Sterling gets fraud checked, or Ivan Erslan gets the shit beaten out of him because Navajo Sterling should be better than him. Ivan Erslan actually gave Kutalaba some trouble, but I think Sterling's going to get this done. I'm going to say Sterling is going to KO him in the second round. He's quite composed in there. He is pretty big at light heavyweight, and he's got the big reach advantage here actually. And I think he's gonna stick and move here, and eventually he'll catch Ivan Erslan with something in the second round. Modestas Bukauskas versus Ion Kutalaba. Good fight, man. I feel like Modestas is like a slight favourite, right? And he's been on a good run, but I'm still going to go with Kutalaba. I think because Modestas' knees are not good. We know that because of the Khalil fight. Basically, snapped his knee. That was fucking scary, man. So I think that will mean he struggles to stuff the takedowns of Kutalaba. And Bukauskas kind of builds into a fight, and Kutalaba can just take you down and ground and pound you straight away. And also, if you look at their recent performances, okay, Bukauskas beat Cerqueira, but Cerqueira's terrible, whereas Kutalaba actually destroyed, or not destroyed, but really beat up Ibo Aslan. I think Ibo Aslan was a pretty good prospect also going into that fight. Most people picked him, so I'm going to go with Kutalaba by I'll say decision, but he could TKO him on the ground. Jessica Andrade, Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasmine Jasudavicius has looked really good lately, and this isn't loading. I don't know why, but I think Jasmine Jasudavicius is going to win this by a decision. I don't think Jessica Andrade is as imposing or as strong at flyweight as she is at strawweight. She's falling off a little bit, I also think, and Jasmine Jasudavicius, I think, is going to be able to mix it up with the striking and the grappling, which Erin Blanchfield did, which was why I feel like she had success against Andrade. And Jasuda Vicious is also rangier than her, bigger. I think she's going to be able to pick her apart, and also when she gets her on the ground, she's going to have that advantage. So I'm going to go Jasmine Jasuda Vicious wins this by decision, plus it's a home crowd. That's a thing. Mike Malott, Charles Ratke. Now, I've seen a lot of people picking Charles Ratke, and he's probably the underdog. He is a decent underdog. And that's because he gets scrappy, and Mike Malott doesn't really get scrappy. But, and also Mike Malott's last fight was pretty bad against Trevin Giles. Like, it was close, it was too close. But in general, I think Mike Malott, Trevin Giles, and Charles Ratke are on like a similar level. I feel like they're all on the level of guys who get finished early by Prates, right? That's who they are, especially since Ratke and Giles both got finished by Prates. Although the Leech did too, and the Leech is better than them, but still, I think Mike Malott is better, like technically speaking, than Charles Ratke. He's going to be more confident here, home crowd, and I think he's going to go out there and he's going to win this by a split decision, kicking at range, keeping Charles Ratke at distance. Yeah, Mike Malott by decision. Benoit Saint Denis versus Kyle Prepelec. So Joel Alvarez fell out and he's probably going to welterweight now, from what I've heard. And BSD is a -1,000 favourite here, which is fair because Kyle Prepelec was in the UFC. He was 0-2. I don't even know why this fight is happening. I think Benoit declined fighting Gamrot. And I get that kind of because when you were preparing for like mainly a striker in Joel Alvarez, and now you're having to fight a guy like Gamrot who's just gonna wrestle fuck you. I understand that. So yeah, this is short notice for Prepelec. BSD, like both of them are kind of scrappy, marauding type fighters, especially Benoit Saint Denis. He's a marauder, and this is actually going to be a fight this is good, a good change up in opponents for BSD because he's going to be able to get back in the win column. It'd be like really weird if Prepelec won, but I'm going to go with BSD by like round 1 KO. Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. Alexa Grasso is like that's my girl right there, and I've got to support her. You know, this is weird, man, because I feel like this might go really wrong because last time I did this with one of my favorite female fighters in Jiaonan, she got like basically like molested by Jandaroba, but this is a different style of fight. And Natalia Silva, she's taken a lot of people to decisions, and so is Grasso and shit. But I think not only is Grasso a better grappler, although she's not great defensively, but I think she is a better grappler, like especially offensively. If it goes to a close decision, I think they'll give it to Grasso, just because like they've got a Mexico card coming up this year. They kind of want her to win to get her back in the win column. And I think on the feet she's got better boxing than Natalia Silva. Now Natalia Silva does have a very good kicking game. She's a good kickboxer. But I think Grasso is going to be able to make it scrappy because I think she's more of a dog than Natalia Silva, and she's going to make it scrappy. And I think she takes this by decision, and she might be able to mix it up with the grappling. If, you know, let's say she catches a kick from Natalia Silva, something like that. So I think I'm going to go Grasso by decision, making it scrappy. Moving up the card, feature fight, Jose Aldo versus Ayman Zahabi. Now, I'm going with Aldo. I picked Aldo in his last fight and he didn't win, although I thought he probably should have won. He is very, like, he does let himself get held up against the cage, but I don't see Zahabi doing that. I think Zahabi's too lanky. He's not really strong enough to do that. And yeah, he beat up Munoz pretty good, but Munoz isn't good, and Munoz isn't in his prime either. And Aldo isn't in his prime, but not in his prime Aldo beat up prime Munoz. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Aldo. I think by like a third round TKO, maybe he lands something good to the body, could be to the head. He's just faster, a lot faster than Ayman Zahabi, better at boxing, really good at targeting the body, and Ayman Zahabi has got that kind of long frame where that's going to work on him. And yeah, Aldo. Next up we got Shevchenko Fiora. Now, I need to fucking learn my lesson, man. Because although I didn't drop a video for it on UFC 312, I picked Tatiana Suarez because I was like, okay, I thought she had the tools to do it, to beat Zhang Weili. But I'm realizing now, like, if you're if you're the GOAT of your weight class in WMMA, you're not losing. You know, Shevchenko, Nunes, Whaley, they're not gonna lose. I realize that now. They're not gonna lose to these fucking lowly contenders. You know what I mean? And I think Valentina Shevchenko. This will be a striking match, although Valentina Shevchenko is going to be the one to mix it up if it happens. But I just think Fiore's got really good takedown defense. She's quite strong. But yeah, Shevchenko is just we're all gonna this is what I was thinking with Whaley. I was like, you know, Whaley strike when she's going against Suarez was like Whaley striking hasn't been that good recently, and she was grappling a lot against Xiaonan and she got hurt on the feet. And I think Suarez is going to be able to beat her in the grappling when it goes there. And here when this fight first got announced, I was thinking, well, Shevchenko, you know, she was very much like very grappling heavy against Grasso, and she hasn't looked as good on the feet recently. And you know, I think Fiore will be able to outstrike. Nah, it's just not gonna happen, is it? Shevchenko wins this by decision. I swear, you better win this, Valentina, because I was very much considering not picking you. So you better fucking win this, mate. I'm telling you right now, you better win this. Anyways, Belal versus JDM. Interesting ass fight, honestly. I've been very back and forth. When it first got announced, I was going Belal. Then I switched to JDM. Then I switched to Belal like yesterday, and now I've switched back. I'm going with Della Maddalena. I'll tell you why in a second. Now the thing is, for Belal has got, you know, I could see him winning this by decision. You know, 3-2 rounds, taking JDM down. JDM has weaknesses in the defensive grappling, but also, how is Shevchenko an underdog? I just want to say that's kind of dumb. Whatever though. Moving on. Good underdogs on this card: JDM, Shevchenko, Grasso. That's kind of it. Shit. Hold on. Okay. The reason I'm going with JDM. If you watch Belal versus Edwards, it was not the domination that people make it out to be. It was actually like it was competitive. It was 3-2. Leon almost finished him in the 5th round. I think the reason Leon didn't win that is because when he would reverse Belal, because he was reversing him quite a lot, he would get on top and he was trying to secure position and he wasn't even really getting back to his feet. And then, but we saw, or like really going for much ground and pound, we saw when he was throwing elbows on the ground, he was doing very well and hurting Belal. JDM has more finishing potential than Leon. He's very good at reversing position. He had a broken arm against Burns. And I think Belal's going to feel like the kind of presence on the feet and maybe shit himself a little bit. Maybe think, you know, not want to exchange with JDM on the feet. And I think JDM will reverse position. And I think he's going to find the KO. The KO. I keep saying KO. I don't know why, but I think JDM is going to find the KO on Belal Muhammad in the 3rd round. It's going to be competitive for sure. Belal might be up. And then I think JDM will find a reversal. And his combinations are just so good. And he's more powerful than Leon. And he's better as a front foot striker than anyone Belal has fought. You know, think about the strikers Belal has fought. I don't see Leon or Wonder Boy as guys who are like pressuring you with combinations on the front foot. They're not. They're like counter strikers on the back foot who are willing to kickbox at range. Look what happened to Belal when he fought Jeff Neal, a guy who can go on the front foot and box and isn't as good as JDM. Yeah, I think JDM, even though that was ages ago, still that's a weakness Belal has, and there's also a power difference. Like if Belal lands on JDM, it's just like you know, JDM has a good chin and Belal isn't that powerful. If JDM lands on Belal, we're thinking like shit, couple more of those and Belal could go down, you know. So I'm gonna say JDM is gonna knock out Belal Muhammad in the 3rd round, and I think I'm gonna cook with predictions on this card, Loki. The last one, 3-14. I don't remember how that went. Honestly, I might have to look through that later, see how I did. But I think this one is gonna do well. So you know, yeah. You know, like and subscribe and shit. In a bit, lads.